Hey everybody, this is the OMAD Dad. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, a channel that is dedicated to living the OMAD lifestyle or eating one meal a day. Well, today's post is inspired by one of my favorite books, a book that I read and reread every so often, and I always manage to find something new and inspirational in. It's a book about minimalism, and it's called Goodbye Things, written by Fumio Sasaki. And as the story goes, Fumio Sasaki is a 35-year-old male living in Japan. He achieved some level of success living a middle-class lifestyle and enjoying the fruits of his labor, having many possessions and everything like all of us do. And even despite that, he got to a level in his life where he was just grossly dissatisfied and very depressed. And the story in this book is about how he came out of that depression, how he improved his life by switching over to more of a minimalist lifestyle. Now, minimalism is really big in Japanese culture. If you look and study their art, their food, their architecture, the way they approach all of that is very minimalistic. It's very beautiful to look at. So it's only natural that this sort of thing would happen in Japan. But he goes on to define minimalism as, one, reducing your necessary items to a bare minimum, and two, doing away with excess in your life so that you can focus on the things that are truly important to you. And something is important to you if you really cannot live without it, or if you lost it, you would buy it again. He goes on to say, and as my belongings started to take up more and more room, I began to be overwhelmed by them, spending all of my energy on my objects while still hating myself for not being able to make good use of them all. Yet, no matter how much I accumulated, my attention was still focused on the things I didn't have. I became jealous of other people. Even then, I couldn't throw anything away, and so I was stuck going around and around in a vicious cycle of self-loathing. Well, his theory is that we own so many things and consume so much as a way of conveying and showing our self-worth. But all of these things eventually turn on us, and we become slaves to our belongings, forced to spend time and energy caring for them. We lose ourselves in our possessions. Our tools end up becoming our masters. So as the story goes, he ended up becoming liberated from this vicious cycle when he adapted more of a minimalistic way of living. And he writes, when we practice minimalism, we spend less time being distracted by the media or advertisements because we become aware that we already have everything that we need. And when we feel this way, we can easily ignore most of these messages that cry out to us. You free yourself from all the materialistic messages that surround you. All the creative marketing and annoying advertisements no longer have any effect on you. Celebrities no longer make you feel envious. Fancy window displays, reward cards, spiffy new high-tech spec products, new high-rise condos under construction. None of it has anything to do with you, and you can stroll around town feeling comfortable and free. Okay, well, so what? So what does this have to do with OMAD? What does a book about Japanese minimalism have to do with OMAD? Well, OMAD is about as minimalistic as you can get when it comes to your food and your consumption of food. As Sasaki said, we cut out the excess so that we can focus on what's important to us. Health, longevity, weight management. We don't eliminate our favorite foods. We enjoy them at the right time, enjoy the meal fully with presence and mindfulness, and then push our plate away, set our fork down, and leave the table until tomorrow when we eat again. Eating when we are bored, lonely, angry, depressed, it's all a coping mechanism that in the end just makes you feel worse. With OMAD, that's all eliminated, and you can focus on quality, and eating becomes special again, and almost a spiritual act. Now, I might not be a full-on minimalist according to Sasaki's definition, but I've adopted some of his guidelines into my way of eating. Do you ever catch yourself grocery shopping and buying food just because it's on sale? How much do you spend every week grocery shopping? Do you own dozens of cookbooks that have never been opened and are collecting dust somewhere on a shelf? What about the kitchen gadgets that you've never seen the light of day in that drawer that you can barely get open? Most of us right now, as we speak, have an overstocked pantry and freezer and still spend a few $100s every week on even more food. Much of this food statistically gets thrown away. I make it my mission to empty my freezer and pantry before I bulk up at the grocery store. The sales will always be there, so don't feel like you're pressured you have to buy today or that you have to go out to a restaurant and eat. I don't buy ingredients that I can only use for one specific recipe. I don't buy in bulk. I look to have zero or very few leftovers because these foods usually get forgotten about and usually are just thrown out. I mean, do your leftovers ever taste as good 2 or 3 days later anyway? There are some things that do, and I do make good use of them and make sure I eat them up and get full use out of them. I've scaled back my cookbook collection to only the essentials, and if I do buy a new one, it's an ebook that takes up almost zero space. While my home is not a restaurant and I do have my fair share of kitchen gadgets, my main kitchen gadgets that I do have, they get used often and are worked hard. I don't feel compelled to run out for a fast food run every time I see an ad for McDonald's or Burger King or every time I get a set of coupons for them. They usually end up going in the trash bin. In other words, OMAD makes me get in touch with true contentment. I feel great, enjoying the food I want because the excess is gone. There's balance and it's freeing. And this book, while it talks mainly about materialistic things such as not having to go out and buy a closet full of clothes and then looking at those clothes and wondering, what do I wear to work today? I don't know what to wear. We can apply a lot of the things that Fumio Sasaki talks about this in minimalism to our way of eating. And by doing so, we're not eliminating food groups, but instead we are enjoying fully the food that we put on our plate. And that is the minimalist, quote unquote, approach that I take into my modern practice of OMAD. There's a really good long chapter on, I think he has over 50 tips on how you can adopt more of a minimalistic way of life. As I've said before, I probably don't meet his exact definition, but he also said that you need to find your own definition of what that is. I may have some more things than he does. He's a single male, 35 years old. I'm a married man, 40 years old now almost, with 2 children, so I'm naturally going to have more items than him. I may have a bigger home. But I don't choose to become a slave to those items. I don't like clutter. And the same approach comes to my food. I don't like having stockpiles of food. It's good to have a little bit in reserves just in case you're unable to get out, if there's a storm or anything like that. But most of the time what I find is that people forget about this stuff and they keep going out to restaurants, they keep going out for snacks here and there, and they still keep hitting up the grocery store, and they don't access this stuff that's already in their home and use it, and it sits there and sits there until the expiration date comes by and it's expired and it ends up getting thrown out and discarded, which is just a huge waste on the environment and your wallet and a real missed opportunity to utilize real food. So I hope this is a book, and I barely scratched the surface about it, but I hope I've inspired you today to at least pick up this book and check it out, because as I've said, even though it is a book mainly talking about minimalism and the Japanese culture and mostly about trinket items and excess junk and things around our house, I think if you apply that sort of approach to your eating, to your cooking and food shopping purchases, not only will you be more content, not only will you be happier, not only can you save money, but you'll find that everything just works a lot nicer for you. And this is really how I approach it, and many chefs do. As a chef, we are trained to go into our kitchen and utilize every little thing that we have. If it's on the shelf, it's a potential item that can be used to make money. It's a little different than that at our home. Our home, it's on the shelf. We bought this item. There's no point in wasting money. There's no point in throwing it away. I would encourage you to take some time, go through your freezer, go through your pantry, and use these items. Get rid of the clutter in your life. Get rid of the clutter in your home. And I think you will find yourself much, much happier because of how freeing it really is. Well, that's it for me for today, folks. I hope you really enjoyed this post. Please check out this book. You can get it on Amazon or wherever you like to buy books. And I hope you're having a great week. I hope you're having a really nice OMAD today. And I will see you very, very soon.